sir.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have a moment of silent meditation and pledge to the flag. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 10 a.m., and I'll call this meeting of the Monongalia Commission to order. Let the record reflect that all three commissioners are present. First item on the agenda is consent and approval with our administrator. Good morning, Renetta.
Good morning. We have 13 exonerations for $8,074.02. Minutes for March 20th, 2024. Vouchers, General County, $47,597.57. 911, $7,674.50. Camp Monthly, $318.42. Mason-Dixon Park, $3.90. Recreation Levy, $4,452.71. Payroll, $1,046,866.15. Morgantown Industrial TIF, $30,661.93. ARPA, $12,457.69. Purchasing card, General County, $12,833.72. Mason-Dixon Park, $124.33. Assessor's valuation, $87.05. Mon County ARPA, $10,494.27 for a voucher total of $1,173,572.24. We have no budget revisions to approve. Board vacancies for boards and authorities are listed on the website, and fiduciary orders from March 27th, 2024.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, any other fiduciary items?
No, sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is introduction of new employees, personnel changes.
We just have one for Youth Services Center. Jennifer Dench, she is currently a part-time youth crisis worker, and she is going to be moving to a full-time midnight position. That is effective April 1st.
Move to approve the employee as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. No more?
No, sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is comments from the public. Now open the comments from the public section of the meeting. Anybody wishing to be heard, raise their hand and come forward. Okay, seeing none. We'll close comments from the public. Next item on the agenda is grants with our Mon County Commission Office Manager, Colleen Kuhn.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a request for reimbursement. It's for the Community Development Block Grant. It's for December and January, and the total is $3,548.16.
So moved.
Move to approve the president signing the grant documents as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, correspondence.
I have none, sir.
Okay, moving pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Arnett, do you have any?
No, sir.
No, I'll
Okay.
do it later.
All right, unfinished business, we have none. New business, to consider approval of the fiscal year 2025 county budget. And if I can have a motion to approve the budget as provided, then we'll go ahead and have a discussion.
So moved.
Second with discussion.
All right. Sorry, let me open up another spreadsheet. At first, Renetta, would you like to go ahead and read your summary?
Sure. Budget summary, fiscal year 2024-2025 for the general fund. The proposed levy rates for taxes in Monongalia County is 11.00 Class 1, 22.00 Class 2, and 44.00 Class 3 and 4, providing $22,956,453 in property tax receipts for the general county operational needs, which is a 14% increase over fiscal year 24. Other receipts include income from the estimated fund balance from fiscal year 2024, hotel taxes, property transfer taxes, interest, reimbursements, and other miscellaneous receipts. Federal grants of $616,000, 946 and state grants of $242,255 are estimated to pass through the annual budget. We have a revenue recap, beginning balance of $10 million, taxes $24,413,953, other taxes $5,800,000, licenses and permits $2,200, intergovernmental $1,472,201, charges for services $895,500, interest earned $300,000, and miscellaneous $1,980,000 for a estimated income of $44,224,654. Proposed general county fund budget includes supplemental funding for the operation and maintenance of county parks, various economic development projects, and funding for proposed health insurance premium increases for county employees. Approximately $661,483 in grant funding is being provided from the general revenue for community and economic development, health and safety items, park and recreational programs, senior centers, and social service agencies. The recap: general government $24,121,929, public safety $13,598,50, health and sanitation $1,301,027, culture and recreation $1,985,346, social services $420,143, and capital projects $2,798,159. Funds from this budget will not be available until July 1st. In conclusion, the levy estimate being approved today is based on levy rates of 11, 22, and 44, with a total of $44,224,654 being anticipated for expenditure, which is an overall increase of 15.38% for fiscal year 25. To recap the coal severance fund, the anticipated funds in the amount of $365,000. We're estimating $150,000 being carried over from fiscal year 24, $200,000 in estimated taxes for a total of $365,000. Expenditure recap: general government $36,500, health and sanitation $82,600, culture and recreations $190,500, social services $55,400 for a total of $365,000. Approximately $246,400 in grant funding is being provided from those fund revenues for various arts and culture, fairs and festivals, community center projects, and social services organizations. So the combined total of the two funds, $44,589,654.
Thank you. Let me take a break. In regards to the budget, I'd like to just have a brief discussion.
Sure.
First of all, talking about the revenue side, and as our administrator indicated, there is a 14.05% increase in property taxes just based off of the valuation changes. Class 2 property in the current year from last year increased by 3.15%. Class 3 increased by 29.38%. Class 4 decreased by negative 0.35. So that's an overall 12.20% increase in valuation that's driving that property tax increase. The overall budget is predicated on the levy rate of, as the administrator said, of 11, 22, and 44. We don't approve the levy rate until April, but we predicated the budget based on that levy rate staying the same at this time, and that is still the lowest levy rate in the state. The other things driving the overall increase in revenue, because the revenue increased by $5,893,873, and only 2.8% of the 2.8 million of that is the actual taxes. We had an increase of 125% in oil and gas severance taxes. So you had 2,828,242 increase in taxes, about 14.05% increase, 1,250,000 increase in gas and oil severance tax increase revenue. That was a 125% increase. So those two factors are pretty predominantly driving that increase in revenue. So in regards to revenue or the levy rate, did you guys want to add anything? Or
Not at this time.
Okay.
No.
And then as the administrator indicated, we have the fiscal year 25 budget by major category. She listed those as general government, public safety, health and sanitation, culture and recreation, social services, and capital projects, with general government being 54.54% of the budget, public safety 30.75, health and sanitation 2.94, culture and recreation 4.49, social services 0.95, and capital projects 6.33. One of the most important things we do when we do our budget is our statutory requirement is to make sure that we fund our constitutional offices. So I did a little bit of analysis in regards to the request from our constitutional offices and how we were able to adhere to the request in the budget process. And I want to thank all the officers that came in, participated in the hearings. This year we did something a little bit different when salary increases. So it was a little bit more work on everybody's part up front. So those discussions are being front-loaded rather than on the back end. So I appreciate everybody's willingness to participate in that process. And these are in alphabetical order, but the assessor, we were able to approve 98.11% of his request. Circuit clerk, 87.37. The county clerk, for her two funds, 87.97. County Commission, 88.96, prosecuting attorney, 97.43, and the sheriff's 6 accounts, 92.16. So overall, from the budget submitted to the budgets approved, we were able to approve 92.29% of that. And we'll talk a little bit more about those budgets going forward. But the constitutional offices broken down by sub-accounts. Personal services is $15,331,673, which makes up about 85% of their budgets. And that number is consistent with 24, where that number is 85.01%. Contracted services, $1,864,380, which is about 10.36% of their budgets. And that number is consistent with fiscal year 24. Commodities, 321, capital outlays, 421,235, and transfers, 57,909. So the overall budgets for the constitutional officers are about it's about 17 million altogether. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of data as far as how we came up with those numbers. The overall budget by sub-accounts, these are how much of our budget is professional services, how much the overall $44 million budget, how much is contracted services, commodities, capital outlays, and transfers. But professional services make up about 44.70, personal services, I keep saying professional, make up about 44.76% of our overall budget. So $19,796,607 of the approved budget is for personal services and labor. And then the rest goes down. Contracted services about 9.4 million or 21%. Commodities, $1 million, 2.2%. Capital outlays is about 10% at 4.4 million. And then we have transfers and contingencies. So those are kind of how all the budget numbers broke down. This budget is predicated on a $10 million carryover. Renata, would you read the letter to the auditor that we did explaining our carryover? Because every year they ask us where we got our carryover number from, and I just wanted people to understand how we come up with those numbers and the correspondence that we're sending to the state auditor's office.
Okay. The carryover amount, specifically account 299, unassigned fund balance, is projected to be $10 million. The commission tracks budget performance on a monthly basis and uses that historical information to project the expected carryover for the next year's budget. The following table shows that analysis through the February financials, and there's various numbers. I'm not sure if you want me to read all of that.
I think it's got the wrong table in there, though.
Okay.
we'll have to double check that number.
Okay.
Because, hold on, I'll pull I glanced at it real quickly this morning. Or maybe I pulled up the wrong one. I'm sorry, I pulled up last year's letter.
Oh, okay.
Phew, didn't want to scare you.
Okay. So I'm not sure how much of the table you want me to explain.
Well, basically, what we do, and again, when we talk about tracking the monthly revenue and expenditures, we track about 54 revenue items monthly as far as where they're performing across all of the past 11 years. And we do the same thing with expense items. And that's how we project where we're going to come in at the end of the year. So carryover, the biggest part of carryover, about 50% of it is our contingencies So we have a fully funded contingency in the new budget of $4.4 million. So of that $10 million, almost $5 million of it is strict contingencies that we know are rainy day funds. We have a number of other contingencies built into the budget for things that may or may not happen that occur for that. And then generally, it's budget performance through the year based off a historical basis as far as how we arrive at where we're going to come in. And we're very careful with projecting those numbers. Last year, we got it to within a few percentage points by the time we actually had the final carryover. But I just want to make sure that the public understood that, we get these numbers, and historically, like I talked about our constitutional offices, historically, overall, through the county, our budgets still always seem to underperform by about 10%. So those numbers are really what drives another good chunk of our carryover. So there's a lot of analysis that goes into it. That's just one number that we look at in regards to performance. So we track where we are net currently halfway through the year, or actually 8 months through the year. We did it at halfway point, and now we have our numbers through February, and we're at 5.9 net, and we already had an $8.3 million carryover. So that number right now, we're projecting at $14 million, but the nets decrease more as the year goes on, so that's how we project it. We're going to land at that $10 million number. So anyhow, it's interesting for me. It may not be as interesting for everybody else, but just really want to provide a little bit of detail as far as how we get to those numbers. So not to drag on too much more, but we have, this is a very robust budget. We have a lot of capital projects that are planned in this budget. It's noted that our 911 center comes online today. We had planned in this year for incurring some of those costs for once the 911 center comes online. Most of those costs won't start coming in until next year, though, but we'll start paying rent as of April. So we had thought we'd be paying a lot earlier, so we do have some leftover money from that. But just like every other major capital project, our intent is to pay that building off early. So we are always holding money back in a contingency. So through the end of the year, if we have the dollars to pay down the principal on that building, we will. We were able to continue our funding for nonprofits. We were able to fund in this budget is $927,883 across the three funds: general fund, coal severance fund, and reallocated coal. So we were able to honor about 42.70% of the requests. And this year we had a record amount of requests, dollar-wise, and I think quantity.
2.2 million,
Yeah, we had
With 2.2 million in requests.
Yeah, we had
for
69
grants.
requests total
Yes.
that we actually sat through, and all of us went through and did our independent assessment, and then we got through and decided what we wanted to do with those. And there were two really large requests that will probably be pushed to the opioid grant process that really drove that 42% achievement number down. Actually, if you take those two big requests out, we were able to achieve 57% of the requests. So that's consistent with last year. We were able to approve 60% of the request. So fairly well consistent as far as grants with previous years. We have healthy contingencies, as I indicated, our contingency fund is fully funded, which is the maximum amount allowable by statute. We have a number of other contingencies that are built in the budget for things that may occur during the year. So those are, this is a very robust and thorough budget. And you guys want to add anything else?
Sure, go ahead.
Just a couple things. It is a very complicated and long process, and I just want to thank our administrator, Renetta McClure, and especially she and Commissioner Sikora, who worked tirelessly to put this together. We couldn't do it. Honestly, Tom and I couldn't do it without you, there's no question. The amount of hours you guys put in is staggering, and your grasp of the numbers just blows me away. So I greatly appreciate all your efforts. I thank God we have you, and we couldn't have done it without you, to use an expression that's used way far too much, but it is particularly applicable in this case. The other thing I'll mention is, a number jumps out that the tax revenue's up $5 million. I just wanted to make it clear, as Commissioner Sikora indicated, we as a levying body have not raised taxes at all. Our levy rate is, from last year, stayed the same. That is a state-mandated valuation that was done on property that increased property values that then correlated to larger tax revenues, and also some other properties coming online that were developed that in a previous year may not have been fully completed and developed, that causes an increase in the valuations, hence the taxes go up. So I didn't want people to see the $5 million increase in taxes and think that, the commission's there raising taxes on everybody.
Just to be clear, it's 5.8 increase in revenue.
Revenue, sorry.
2.8 is the tax component
Thank
of that.
you. Thank you, 2.8. So we didn't raise taxes by $2.8 million. That's just what happens when the valuations go up, and hence the corresponding taxes go up. So I just didn't want to make that clear. Tom?
Yeah, I do want to thank Sean and Renetta, and what I did was I kept my hours, and this was personally on how many hours we spent, not we, but I spent on the budget, and 28 hours just to read and go through all the grants, because there were 69 grants. And to give them justice, I want it real clear that each of us go through the grants. We write it down, do not see what the other writes. Then we come back, and then for 6 hours, we debate in a really positive way. So that's 34 hours on the grants. Then I wrote down how many hours that we spent with the Constitutional Office in debating, and that was a total of 22 hours. So we did 56 individual hours that I personally did. And I know every time I went to ask questions, I know that Renetta and Sean had to go back or had that information. So I can only imagine they did double. And one of the things I think we do differently, and I think why our budget is so streamlined, is, and any of the constitutional officers who are here will tell you, we question funding of line items over a 5-year period, or why there was an increase, and we asked for justification. And we did something different this year. We really went through and asked for the justification, and we specifically requested what and how much money you would want for pay raises, rather than us just doing across the board. And I think it really worked. I really think we got a better understanding of how the constitutional offices support their employees, and it is a process, and it's still not over yet. But this is just the tentative one till when we get the final numbers.
You mentioned the hours spent on the grant. I don't want to besmirch the effort put in by, you guys, don't forget the effort put in by Colleen with the whole grant process.
Yes, so I apologize.
And the hours setting that up, so I want to make sure to give credit where credit's
And not only do I give credit that, because she is already starting working on, so people have been asking about the opioid funds. So she is in the process now of developing the grant process for that, and then a procedure. So again, I appreciate Colleen doing that. I mean, like I said, that was 30 hours that she got all the information to us, and then we went through it, and the stacks, I appreciate. I'm not the most articulate on the computer. She did a printed copy for me, and I do really appreciate that.
I'm not sure.
So, and Tom mentioned we did do something a little different this year. When it came to labor, we asked all the offices, the constitutional offices and our individual offices, to come to us with proposed salary increases, because it is our duty, and we were questioned on this before, but it's actually state statute that the county commission has final say on every salary action that is made. So we wanted to give the offices the ability to have more of a say in that process, so we asked them to provide those increases at budget time. Traditionally, we wait till summer when we get final carryover, and we really have a better idea of where we're at. But traditionally, the commission wasn't able to predict carryover as well. And with the previous couple years, we've been able to predict it better, so now we can make these decisions when they should be made, and that's when the budget's made. And we've been told by the state auditor's office on a number of occasions that the salary changes are to occur at the beginning of the fiscal year and should not be occurring out of cycle. So that's not always enforced. We haven't done it ourselves. We've allowed it to happen with a lot of the offices, but that really should be when the salary actions are approved, is when we approve our budget. So again, I want to thank all the offices for leaning in and being part of this process, some more than others, but it's an iterative process that will change over the years, and we'll refine it. It wasn't perfect the first time through, but when we sat down and went through all the requests, we pretty much were able to honor the request as submitted by the individual offices. There were some questions that we've had to ask, and there's some exceptions that we had to take. But we acted generally based off the information that was requested from us and was provided to us. So that's how we went forward. We did also do another thing where we removed vacancies. If it wasn't imminent that position was going to be hired, we removed those vacancies, which is approximately about $538,000 that we held back, rather than put it on these budgets, because in the past these numbers have really kind of been used. They've inflated the budgets, and we've had vacancies that have been on budgets for years and never been accessed. So we pulled those dollars back. We did it to every office. As I went through those numbers, the commission office had one of the bigger decreases in what was over a previous year's budget, because we're going to do the same thing that everybody else has to do. We put those dollars in contingency, and then when they're needed, we'll have to do a budget action to put those dollars on the budget. And the way we do things now is we get we get personnel actions that are brought to our meeting, and a lot of times those people are already hired. So it's really just a perfunctory function. Now, if we have to put the vacancy on the budget, then we'll have a discussion at that time, and we'll be essentially approving that position, rather than putting it on the budget and have it sit there for years, and then when someone shows up at our doorstep is when we're providing our rubber stamp. So that's just a little bit different as far as how we've handled the process, and I think it worked very well.
Agreed.
Okay. Anything else budget-wise? Is that enough?
I'd say that's enough.
Okay. I would, we have two budgets. We have the general fund, and then we have the coal severance fund. So the motion was to, I believe the motion was to just approve the budget, Mon County budget. But if you could amend the motion just to specifically approve the Monongalia County general and coal severance fund budgets, and then we'll take a vote.
I will so amend.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I apologize that took so long, but it's, we spent a lot of time through the effort, and I thought it warranted.
Just so no one causes a
explanation.
problem, the vote was to amend it. Now we have to vote on the amendment.
Okay.
Just so no one says we did it wrong. We just
Okay.
voted
Okay, we have-
on the amendment.
We have a first and a second. All those in
Yes.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the point of
One was
clarity.
for the amendment, one was, in case someone wants to come back technically and say we never actually approve the
Okay,
budget.
Mr. Parliamentary.
I was going to
Yes,
say.
sorry.
You're a gentleman and a
learned.
scholar.
I've learned my lesson.
Next item on the agenda is consideration to approve emergency voting location change for precinct 44 to Granville Social Hall for the 2024 primary election.
So moved to approve the emergency voting location change.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. I understand the old location, the Granville Volunteer Fire Station 2 in Osage, needed to have some ADA modifications, and those won't be done in time for the election, so that's why the move. So we have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Consider appointments to the Monongalia County Abandoned and Dilapidated Property Enforcement Agency.
Okay. We've got some vacancies on that board. We've had some people retire, we've had some people leave employment, and so we've got Jason Steinsbring. He will be filling an at-large position. Where's my other at-large position? Oh, there she is. Julie Knight is another individual that will be fulfilling the at-large position. Cal Carlson, who is the current county GIS coordinator, they will be the county technically qualified county employee that would fulfill that requirement. And then Chris Nestor, he currently works for the Monongalia County Health Department, and that would fulfill that particular requirement in the code.
Okay.
So there's 4 individuals.
Move to approve the candidates as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We still need somebody from one of the volunteer fire departments. That is the last. That is the last one that we need.
Yeah, they're coming in today. We'll ask.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make sure that.
All right, thank you. Consideration to set dates to conduct a first reading, second reading, and public hearing regarding the proposed subdivision and land development ordinance. The dates, you want to provide the dates
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's what I was.
The first reading will be, if you approve it, it will be April 17th at your normal, regular 10 o'clock meeting. Second reading and public hearing, the second reading will be May 1st at 10 o'clock, and then the public hearing a little bit later in the agenda. And then you will also have one at 6 p.m. on May 1st. So 2 public hearings that day.
Okay,
Okay. Move to approve.
Second, and just for discussion, please tell Andrew, thank you for putting 2 different dates and times, because that was one of the problems people wanted, so that way they could come during the day or come to the evening, and that was a request. So please tell them thank you.
The ad will be in the paper tomorrow. I've
Yes.
already sent it over to
Great.
the paper, so.
okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. All right, is there any more new business?
No, sir.
Thank God. Reports from elected officials and/or department supervisors? Okay. Reports from county commissioners. Tom?
Yeah, attended a meeting at Mountaineer Country CVB board meeting, and the great news is, as you know, a couple years ago, they were in financial trouble. We helped them through a very difficult period during COVID, and now they are not going to need our help. They are building their budget back, and things are going very well, and people are coming into Monongalia County, and they have some interesting information that I will get to you about who is looking at Monongalia County and who are the people we're trying to bring to Monongalia County. And it's a really positive report. I do want to say that I want to thank the commissioners. The budget is a very difficult 3 or 4 weeks where we have to just do a lot of time and energy. And there's a lot of things in the budget that we can talk about. One minor issue that was passed, and I want to thank the commissioners, is that the Mon County Micro Swimmers Program, which we felt is very important, the K through 2 and the school system, is still there, and hopefully we will be able to get more individuals to learn how to swim, and also the parents. And there's a lot of other items that were passed, especially over $900,000 for grants, which is just more than any other county in the state does. So I'm really appreciative that we believe that it's important in quality of life, and I thank my commissioners for doing that.
Just a couple things. I attended a MCR board meeting last night. That's the group that owns and controls the old Ramada Inn site where Hazel's House of Hope is located. And it was announced last week that Senator Capito has directed congressional directive spending of $500,000 to build out the day room in that facility. So I want to thank both of our senators have done an incredible job of being in contact with our offices and with our community and directing spending and being there whenever we've asked. So politicians get bagged on a lot, but I'd like to personally thank Senators Capito and Manchin for taking a heavy interest in Monongalia County and continuing to show that and back that interest up with actions like this. Secondly, as our administrator mentioned, the 911 center is the switch date is today, so that'll be the first day that they're actually operating at the new facility. It's been a long process, but not really in the grand scheme of things. I feel like it's come together pretty quickly. I want to thank March Weston and the contractor that built the facility, and Glenn Adrian, the developer and the owner of the industrial park. They've been instrumental in getting that building done on time. And the efforts, of course, of Jimmy Smith and Mike Fortney and HAPA have been instrumental in diligently going after every detail and making sure that we have a top first-class facility to serve our citizens. And we've toured the building. We're going to tour it again, and it's complete, now that it's complete. But it's truly remarkable. So thank you to all those efforts, and we look forward to having that center, service our citizens for a long time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Since the last meeting, I had the Morgantown Area Partnership Board meeting last Wednesday night. On Thursday, the three commissioners participated in the MMPO meeting, and then I went from there to my daughter's first home lacrosse game of the season versus Fairmont. And as I mentioned before, Fairmont was state champions last year, and Morgantown hung with them. So it really is looking to be a special season for Morgantown. They lost the game, but there's a lot that they can take out of that loss and how they were able to really go toe-to-toe with Fairmont for a good part of the game. Friday, we had staff reports, and then we had a special work session with Delegate Statler. I appreciate Delegate Statler coming in and giving us an update on a couple different items. Primarily, he talked about some of the funding for the fire departments and how they were to be handled. I had the broadband tag up that afternoon. This Tuesday, we were at it early in the morning at a 7 o'clock meeting with the county administrator regarding final budget reconciliations. And Renetta, I really do appreciate all your effort. Now that this process is done, you need to take some time off because I know you really have been working a lot of hours.
Okay, well, let me get my stuff so I can
The cartoon-shaped cutout of her.
Really appreciate it, and it's really nice when you can we can validate each other's information, and it makes it so much more efficient. And it was a very smooth process. So thank you but it still takes a lot of time to go through. As I mentioned before, there's over 500 expense line items with all the budgets, and over 50-something revenue lines that have to be scoured. And we look at those from every way from Sunday to really kind of figure out where we're going in the next year. We have after that meeting, we had a meeting with DOH, and then we had yesterday afternoon we had a meeting with our HR consultants. Today's a regular day. Tomorrow I have my Island Park Board meeting, Health Department Board of Health meeting, and then the administrator and I have to meet with the insurance brokers. This weekend is Easter weekend, and I want to wish everybody a safe and happy Easter weekend. Again, Tom, Jeff, Renetta, Colleen, everybody, thanks for all your efforts in the budget process. All the elected officials, thank you. We had, like I said before, some people bought into what we were doing, but I think everyone will see the reasoning behind our efforts to ensure that we're making sure that every penny of revenue is spent in a measured, thoughtful, and transparent and efficient manner. And I won't apologize for taking the extra time or the extra effort to do that anytime. It's just not the easy path. We don't do baseline budgeting where you say, well, we were here last year, give me the same plus something. We look at each line item every year, and I think we have a better work product, and our citizens know when they see those revenue numbers going up, they can rest assured that we're going to do right by them with every penny of those dollars that we spend. So I just want to thank you guys for all your efforts and your support. So
Can I just bring one other issue?
Sure.
I think in all three of us, the thoughts and prayers on the construction workers and those on that bridge, and I also bring it up because my daughter drove yesterday morning, and that would have been the way from Philadelphia that you go. And I can only imagine how the workers and what happened there. So I just want to make sure that thoughts and prayers go to those individuals. Thank you.
Agreed.
thank you.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We're adjourned.